One of the most common questions people ask in VoiceOver is, should I process my audio? Now, for the most part, people, when they think about VoiceOver, they think about recording, clicking record and saving the file and sending it over. But unfortunately, in this day and age, we have to do a little bit more to our audio than just record. Nowadays, I think for many online clients, the expectation is that we need to deliver processed audio. The one exception to that, I think, would be video games, as well as when you have to work with an audio post-production company, because if you work with an audio post-production company, that they're going to do stuff with the audio. So you should send raw or at least very close to raw audio. You can put a high-pass filter, you can put maybe some mouth declicking, but any more than that is not necessary, because if you know that there's going to be an expert there who's going to treat the audio, then you're just going to get in the way by putting your own processing, because, well, is it really our place to say what the best processing for that audio is when literally an expert in processing audio is going to work with it? I think it's just it just gets in the way, and the audio post producer is used to listening to raw audio. So, that loud breath that you made in the middle of a take, that very strong S that you produced in the middle of a sentence, they've heard these things thousands of times. So don't worry about it. You don't need to go there and start fiddling with things because you're embarrassed that your sound is imperfect. Well, raw audio is imperfect. Raw audio is meant to be processed, because if it's not processed, it's not loud enough. Microphones capture every lovely and horrible nuance that's in our voice, including sibilance, including mouth noises. It's just the reality of raw audio. Raw audio is meant to be processed. That's why it's called raw, because when it's processed, it's cooked, if you want to call it that. Now, the type of processing that you do will depend on the job. So, for instance, I almost always process every single e-learning, every single audio guide, every single corporate narration. What I don't process typically is stuff for video games. Now, I don't do a ton of video games, but the ones that I did, it's basically raw audio, maybe some mouth declicking, but even then, better to just leave it alone. That would be the general rule of thumb for video games. For commercials, it depends very much on the client. If it's a big client, a big production, going through an agency, raw, don't touch it. If it's instead for a small commercial and maybe you're being contacted over the pay-to-play sites, I would ask. You probably can just process it anyway, lightly, but you may actually be asked to process it more than you think. The single most popular video that I voiced over, which has, I think, 4 million views on X, over 1 million views on YouTube for an ad campaign, I actually did the audio processing for that. They wanted more processing, and I found out because I asked, and the result is the ad that got the millions of views that it got. So that's good, but if you don't ask, you're not going to find out. So if you're unsure, if you're inexperienced, I would say that as a good rule of thumb, err on the side of caution, and if you can ask, do ask.